Ladies and gentlemen, today we have some massive information. I have updates for two major things, and both of them are equally exciting in my opinion. So let's just go and get right into it. So today's video is one I'm very excited to report on. We have some information about one of the most anticipated games and one of the most anticipated consoles. And both updates are about as good as you can get. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me. We're about 100 subscribers away from 9,000, so I just want to say thank you so much for the support. And let's go ahead and get right into this video.
Yeah, I'm ready for the compat. It be compat, I be compatible. You be affectionate. You know when you're there, but you be beside me. You ride me, override me, but you cannot override me because you be beside me.
Whoa, I don't know how this keeps happening. That was not the right video. Now, let's get into the real video. So a game that came out of pretty much nowhere, at least in my opinion, right? In my opinion is the one that counts when I'm making these videos. A game that came out of nowhere was Hades. And you know, when people tell you that something is so good over and over and they kind of push it on you, I don't know about you, but me, it always turns me away from it. So I will admit I was super late to playing Hades, because anytime I would ask somebody to recommend me a game or what game they're playing, everybody would say, oh, I'm playing Hades, or you should play Hades, you gotta play Hades, it's so good. And you would even see the narrative online of people saying, yeah, I knew it wasn't gonna be for me, I never play games like this, I absolutely love it. Even people who were fans of like completely opposite games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, they would play Hades and absolutely fall in love with it. It was almost like there was an online campaign to force you to play this game. I was traveling overseas for almost a month. I went to Spain, and while I was there I was like, you know, I don't know how the gaming market's gonna be over here. Let me buy a game that I can just kind of play for a long time. So I picked up Hades, and even though I bought it, I was still reluctant to try it. And one night I was bored, started playing it, and I was truly addicted the entire time I was there. It was as good or even better than people said it was. So now that I was a fan, the news of Hades 2 coming along had me extremely excited. Like, I liked Hades, don't get me wrong, but everything to do with Hades 2, like the art style and the setting and everything, it's exactly what I was looking for in a sequel. So we all know Hades 2 was announced, but when do you get to play it? Well, I may have an update that will make you very excited. Hades 2 gets surprise early access release on PC. Supergiant Games surprised fans with the release of Hades 2 in early access on Steam and the Epic Games Store, and it's offering more environments, foes, and fully voiced characters than its predecessor. That is another thing that I forgot to mention about Hades that made me fall in love with it, the voice acting. I know a lot of games are voice acted in, but it makes you so much more immersed and gets you more attached to the characters, and it made me fall in love with a lot of the characters. Hades 2, the much anticipated sequel to 2020's acclaimed roguelike Hades, is now available in early access via Steam and the Epic Games Store. Dude, time is flying. So I don't want to put down any of Hades' success, because I think it's a great game, but I think we do have to call a spade here. I think a lot of the success it got was because of the pandemic. There was nothing to do. There was a lot of games that came out at the perfect time. Hades was one of them, Animal Crossing was another one. These games would have done good, don't get me wrong, but I think timing was a major factor. Among Us was another one. Like, it's not a fault to Hades at all, but I think it's something just worth pointing out, you know what I mean? Developer Supergiant Games opened the gates Monday afternoon with a surprise drop announcement on Twitter. Hades 2 is here, experience the bewitching sequel to our godlike roguelike, now available in early access on Steam and Epic Games Store. The early access version is $29.99 at both online storefronts. Supergiant says the current version already has blah blah blah, we already went over that, but acknowledge that it is still basically a work in progress. Key area, characters, foes, narrative events, and systems are still to come. And this next line right here makes me very happy. Hades 2 makers are depending on early access feedback. We expect to make many changes and improvements inspired by our player community and reflect these in our patch notes. So if you do get a chance to go and play this, make sure you go on Twitter or leave reviews on Steam, and I don't know if you can do that on Epic, I'm sure you could, but make sure you give them feedback. Companies like this are the companies we should be rewarding because they take into account what you're saying, and then they fix the game according to that. So to sum this all up, if you never played Hades, go and play it. If you're a fan of that, you can play Hades 2 now. I would assume we got a couple more months to this hits console launches, but this truly is fantastic news. So now, some Switch 2 news, and some great Switch 2 news. Some news that pretty much confirms this console. Yesterday, I reported that there's going to be an investor meeting. They don't have to talk about the next Nintendo console with investors, but they could drop some hints, right? Well, I actually think that's what this meeting is entirely about. So this is coming from Nintendo Leaks on Twitter. They are based out of Spain, I'm pretty sure. You know the relationship with Nintendo Leakers and Spain. It's a great pipeline for news. It has been discovered in a PDF on Nintendo corporate management that Nintendo held plus 400 meetings with shareholders, while several topics of discussion have been the Nintendo Switch 2 and the transition to it. This was made public on March 27. It seems that it was a key month. This is news that is breaking, I think a couple hours ago. And then here's the actual thing. This is translated to Spanish. But you can see a couple things about 400 individual groups and the impact to transition to the new hardware. This is fantastic news. And for a couple key reasons, right? It confirms a new console, which we already know there has to be a new console. Like every gaming company in the world eventually will make a new console. So having a new console per se is not the news, but confirming that it's done or that it's ready to be transitioned to, that is a key point that we need to take from this. Investors are the ones who need to know, right? They're investing in your company. Don't quote me on this, because I'm not good at trading stocks and crypto. I tried for a little bit when everybody was into the hype of it. And I bought a couple shares of Nintendo, probably sold them for a loss. But I was doing some research, and I think you only need to have, it's either 10, 20, or 30 shares. I can't remember exactly which one. But you only need to have that many shares to attend these shareholder meetings. And the shares of Nintendo at the time were like $50. You could essentially spend like $1,000 and be able to go to these shareholder meetings, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Maybe that's something we will do in the future when this channel gets bigger. But Nintendo talking about transitioning to the new console, when would that start, right? Well, let's look at what we have so far. We have Paper Mario coming, I think Luigi's Mansion coming next month, and then that's it. I covered a leak yesterday about a Kirby game getting trademarked. I think that will be coming. Probably some other remakes, some ports, and maybe another game or two. So I think it's inevitable that we get a real Nintendo Direct. And I mean, that's not really saying anything, right? Of course we get a real Nintendo Direct. We haven't had one this entire year. We've had a partner showcase and an indie Direct. I think next month, it could be this month, but in my opinion, I think June we get a real Nintendo Direct that lays out the rest of the year. And I think that's it. I also think we get an announcement maybe next month. I'm assuming next month. I think Nintendo does something in June for this next Nintendo console. Maybe a surprise drop of this console. I still have this strange feeling that the Switch 2 could come this year. All they need is like 3 to 6 months. They announce it in June, pre-orders go live in August, and then the console drops in October or something. November maybe. But I still have that weird feeling that it could happen. Because if you have 400 individual meetings, well, you're not doing that for no reason. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about all this information? 1, have you ever played Hades? I know it may not be for you, because it wasn't for me, but it is a game that you should definitely give a chance, and it always goes on sale on the eShop sale for like $15. And in theory, it's a game you could play forever. And 2, when do you think the real actual release date for the Switch 2 would be? Like, if it was truly up to you, when would you release this console? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could, regarding on both platforms. I would really appreciate a follow from you. And I just want to say thank you so much for all the support. We're almost there to 9,000 subscribers, guys. Thank you so much. And you guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.